Thank you so much, Avramo. Chaim, Chaim, good yontif, good yontif. So the 19th of Kislev is not only the day of the Alter Rebbe's redemption, it's also the day of the passing of Zitcha Maggid. And as Maggid told the Alter Rebbe before he passed away, he said the 19th of Kislev is our day of celebration. It was doubly prophetic. It was prophetic because he hadn't passed away yet, and Alter Rebbe wasn't even in prison yet. But there's clearly a deep connection. Oh, thank you, Avramo. I know what I would do without you. So there's a teaching of the Zitcha Maggid on the beginning of this week's Torah portion. In this week's Torah portion, what portion is it this week, Avramo? Exactly. Vayeshev. Very good. So what does Vayeshev mean? Simple meaning of Vayeshev is that Yaakov lived in the land that his father lived, and in the land of Canaan. Yaakov lived in Israel in the place of his father. But the Zitcha Maggid gives two explanations to this sentence. First explanation is that Vayeshev means to not just live, but to live and be very present, very akava. Akava means not just you're in a place, but you're very attached to that place. You're very connected to that place. And what was the place Yaakov was living in? Said the Maggid, Canaan. Canaan also is connected to deceit. As the Torah says, Canaan biyode mozdin mirma, in Canaan has in his hand a false scale, a scale of deceit. So why is Yaakov in the place of deceit? Why is he so connected and so immersed in this place of deceit? Said the Maggid, purpose of this is megure. The word megure means reverence. That means that although Yaakov was in a place of deceit, in a horrible place, nevertheless, Yaakov maintained his reverence for his father in heaven. He may have been in an unfriendly place, in a very non-sensitive, non-spiritual place, yet his integrity is fully there. He is completely unaffected by his surroundings. That's the first translation of the Maggid of this verse. He is Megura Yav, he's in a state of reverence for Hashem. And there's another translation of the Maggid. The Maggid said, what does Megura Yav mean? The word Magur comes from the word to gather. Yaakov's journey into this world, what was the purpose of this? To gather the sparks of holiness in the physical world. So it comes out that these two explanations of the Maggid have a completely opposite, they're completely opposite their trajectory. According to the first explanation, the Maggid is saying that Yaakov remains perfect, although he is in a unfriendly place. He is not affected by his surroundings, and he reaches perfection. He ascends personally in service of Hashem because he withstands the challenges of his location. That's the so according to the first explanation of the Maggid, it's about Yaakov maintaining his spiritual integrity. Yaakov ascending because of his achievement of not being affected by his surroundings. According to the second explanation of the Maggid, the trajectory and the impact of Yaakov is not a personal one. Rather, the Torah is talking about what Yaakov does for the world. Yaakov gathers the sparks of holiness that are in the world. So there are two different explanations, and they have a whole two different directions. However, since both explanations are in the same verse, so the rule of Torah is, as we see by laws of Shatnez, that when there are two translations on the same word, all the translations are connected to each other. The law of Shatnez is that the three translations the Gemara says of how the wool and the linen need to be connected in order for it to qualify to be forbidden as Shatnez. The three translations are spun, twined, and woven. And the halacha is, or it doesn't have all three together, it's not considered shatnez. It has to have all three. So although there are three different translations of the word, nevertheless, the Gemara puts all three together in order to translate shatnez. It has to have all three. So, in a similar way, we have to say that there are these two translations of the Maggid of this verse aren't two independent explanations, but they complement each other. And more, in an example of shatnez, the translations of the word shatnez are those translations are about the word shatnez. Here, the Maggid is giving a more of a broad stroke translation of what this verse is about. He's not just translating a word. He's talking about what was the purpose of Yaakov's descent in this world. Is it about him or is it about the world? He's classifying the whole context of the verse, not just translating a word. We have to say that these two explanations are connected to each other and they complement each other. So how so? So when the neshama comes to the world, it ascends to a higher place. You read the L'tzarech Chali. There's two ways to explain why does the soul ascend to a higher place. What about coming to this world grants the soul the ability to rise higher than it was before? One explanation is this: the soul, before it came to this world, didn't have the advantage of being a Baal Tshuva. It was more in the realm of a tzaddik. A tzaddik is someone who's always serving Hashem, never makes a mistake. Baal Tshuva is someone who succumbs to failure. And despite the fact that they've succumbed to failure, they stop and they turn around and they decide to once again serve Hashem. This ability to stop and redirect highlights the incredible bond the soul has with Hashem. So in a similar way, just like a Baal Tshuva expresses his bond with Hashem by stopping, going after things he shouldn't, and turning around and serving Hashem, so too, in the descent of the soul to a body, the powerful bond of the soul to Hashem is also highlighted. As we just said, just despite the fact he's in an unfriendly surrounding, he still maintains the same kind of connection the soul had to Hashem when it was in heaven. When the soul was in heaven, had this beautiful connection to Hashem, and now it comes to the world, it still has this beautiful connection to Hashem, but the circumstances have changed, and yet the soul hasn't changed. So like we say in Hallel, Ona Hashem Keni Avdecha. Ona is written with a hey. Ona means wherever. Wherever Hashem, wherever you send me, Ani Avdecha, I'm your servant. It doesn't matter where you send me, I'm always going to be your servant. So Ona Hashem, doesn't matter where. So just like a Baal Tshuva, in order for him to make those changes in his life, that highlights the connection he has with Hashem, so to the soul, in order for the soul to maintain whatever it's doing in heaven, to maintain that, it requires it requires an unshakable bond with Hashem. So according to that, it's not that the soul is doing anything new, and it's not that the soul didn't have it before. The soul had this bond with Hashem when it was in heaven. The soul is doing the same thing that it was doing when it was in heaven. It's just that now that the soul has come to the world, because of the new circumstances, the soul now has to bring out its best. And as we say in America, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. What brings out the toughness, the power, the soul's connection to Hashem? It's challenges. It's because of its descent that it reaches the level of Baal Tshuva. That's one way of classifying the soul's ascent after coming to this world. The soul, it's revealed in the soul. It's bond with Hashem. Hold on a second. Hey, you want to mute yourself for a second?
I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I wasn't muted.
No wrong. You didn't say anything wrong. So there's another explanation of why, when the soul comes to this world, does the soul ascend to a higher place. The explanation is this: Hashem wants to have a home in this world. He wants us to change the physical world. He wants the world to become a home for him. The Hebrew word for world, olam, comes from the word concealment. The world naturally, as it was created by Hashem, conceals godliness. So the soul is meant to change the playing field that it's in and make the world a home for Hashem. The soul is meant to change what's going on over here. So how is it possible for the soul to impact the world in such a way? The reason why it's possible is because of the godly power that Hashem imbues the soul with. It's impossible to change the world the way the soul does. And the only way that it can happen is because of an infinite power that Hashem imbues the soul. So that's why the soul ascends to a higher place when it comes to this world. It's because the soul is not because of, in the first explanation, because the soul is maintaining what it was doing. It's because in order for the soul to do its mission in this world, the soul needs to have something infinite that comes into it. The soul has to have something new it didn't have before. It's something godly the soul didn't possess before. So it's actually ascending higher than it was before. It's not that the soul is maintaining what it had before, and it just wasn't revealed like in the first explanation, but rather to get the job done for the soul to go and to change the world, it needs to have something godly in it. So it follows then, according to the second explanation, it's not that the soul ascends after it passes away to a new place it was before, but even to do the job that it needs to do in this world, in order for the soul to, so to speak, roll up its sleeves, to get involved in the physical world, the soul has to change its whole trajectory of what it's interested in. When the soul is in heaven, what is it interested in? Soul in heaven is interested in just serving Hashem. It's about its own connection to Hashem. The soul is in a state of love, in a state of reverence for Hashem. Imagine you're in Gan Eden. You're there for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month in Gan Eden. You're there for a long time. And what are you waking up with? What are you going to sleep with? It's all about your beautiful bond you have with Hashem. Come to this world, there's a whole different question Hashem's asking you. Hashem's asking you, what have you done for me over here? I want a home here in this world. What are you doing for me? So Hashem is asking a whole new question to the soul in this world. Hashem is asking the soul to stop thinking about itself. Hashem is saying to the soul, start thinking about the world. So in order for the soul to start thinking about the world, the soul has to now have a new kind of bond with Hashem. It has to have a new devotion to Hashem that didn't have before. The soul has to have a new kind of bittul that didn't have before. So now we can understand these two explanations of the Maggid, not only not divergent, but they actually complement each other. What was the first explanation? The soul comes to this world, and it maintains its reverence for Hashem. What's the second explanation? The soul comes to this world, Mogur, to gather the sparks. So actually in Torah order this week, the Alter Rebbe says that the word Mogur also means treasure house. The soul comes to this world, it says that Hashem's treasure house is fear of Hashem. So the soul comes to this world, not just to gather the sparks, but the Alter Rebbe connects gathering the sparks to achieving fear of Hashem. And now we understand why. The fear of this, the maybe in quality, the soul's devotion to Hashem in heaven was missing something. It didn't have the same kind of quality it has now. In quantity, it certainly had a higher quantity of service of Hashem, of reverence for Hashem before. Now it has a higher quality. Let me explain. It says we see in our prayers that once the temple was destroyed, we're no longer able to go to Jerusalem and bow down to Hashem. We're not able to go down and to bow before you. Question is, we may not be able to go to Jerusalem and see the temple, but we could bow. We do bow. We bow Rosh Hashanah many times. Yom Kippur we bow many times. What does it mean when we say we can't bow to Hashem? The Chassidus explains that when you see Hashem, your bowing to Hashem is deeper. When you see Hashem, it's not just your body is on the ground and you're looking on the ground. Hey, I'm going to get dusty? My suit going to get dusty? Should I put a napkin down like the other guy next to me? When you bow down to Hashem in the Beis Hamikdash, because of what you've seen, there is a total wholesome bowing down to Hashem where you've lost yourself in the process. So in quantity, every fiber of your being is in a state of abnegation to Hashem. So in quantity, the temples is where bittul is at. That's total devotion to Hashem. But in quality, there's something that's new that happens because the soul comes to this world. What's new is that the soul now experiences a new kind of question. Should I think about myself? Or should I think about what Hashem wants? Should I focus on me? Or should I focus on Hashem's question, Hashem's desire to have a home in this world? So because the soul has to now suspend its own desires and to do what Hashem wants in the soul, because of this, the soul experiences a new kind of bittul, a new kind of devotion to Hashem. So now we say they're connected because the soul's gathering sparks. That's why the soul has a greater devotion, a greater reverence for Hashem. These two explanations are complementing each other. It's not that just the soul comes to this world and it maintains what it has before, but in order for the soul to be able to make the change in the world, in order for the soul to cause its infinite, to harness the infinite power of Hashem, to make this change, how does the soul get this power from Hashem to make this dramatic change in the world that requires an infinite power? Is by the soul itself doing something infinite, by the soul itself stopping to think about itself, and the soul thinking about the desire of Hashem. So the soul gets more megure, gets more reverence for Hashem when it gathers the sparks. This is something that happens also in our lives. When you get older, you're in yeshiva, you're younger, and your focus is on you. How many brownie points do you have in your service of Hashem? You get older, and Hashem has a different job for you. You have to go out, you have to go work, you have to get married, you have to earn a livelihood. It's a whole different trajectory. And it seems like you lost a lot when you were in yeshiva. That's only in quantity. But in quality, different kind of service of Hashem. Now your focus isn't inward. Your focus is, what is Hashem asking from you? So bottom line is, today is the day of the Alter Rebbe's release from prison, and coming from the Magid Zilula. It says on the day of the passing of the tzaddik soul ascends to a new place that ever was before. It causes salvation on the earth. And just like the Alter Rebbe was redeemed this day, we ask Hashem, as the Alter Rebbe said, that I've sanctified the 9th of Kislev to be such a holy day that whenever a Jew asks Hashem, he should be answered. Alter Rebbe made this day to be so holy. Hashem listens to us. And we're able to cause salvation with our prayers today, and for an amazing way. Hashem listens to us like Alter Rebbe's expression, I think, was like a tzaddik gomer on Yom Kippur. Hashem listens to us today on just a regular Russia, not a good person. Today Hashem listens to us. Let's have a Chaim. Abisha should not just give us what we had before, as learning this in this thought, that Hashem wants us to ascend higher. So Hashem should also cause us to see the conclusion of the exile. All this, not just all the sparks are gathered, but all the Jewish people are gathered together in Yerushalayim, Mashiach Tzidkenu, see the Geula for all the hostages, Geula for all the Jewish people. Amen. Any questions or comments? All right. Good yantiv.